Senator from South Carolina.
I'd ask unanimous consent to terminate the quorum call.
Without objection.
I intend to speak on a couple of matters as if in morning business for 10 minutes.
Without objection.
Thank you. A couple of things. This is a very dark day for our friends in Israel. Apparently earlier this morning, about an hour and a half after the agreed upon ceasefire, an Israeli column of soldiers who were trying to decommission a terrorist tunnel consistent with the terms of the ceasefire were attacked by a suicide bomber that resulted in some Israeli casualties. That column also was hit by anti-tank missiles, and a group of Palestinian Hamas fighters engaged the column, and resulting in the capture of one Israeli soldier. For lack of a better way of explaining this, there was a ceasefire. Israel was acting consistent with the terms of the ceasefire, and this was a planned military operation to take advantage of the ceasefire. In the law of war, this would be a grave breach. At the end of the day, Israel is a victim of a group of people called Hamas that lie, cheat, have everything in their being this most of us should condemn. So what has the Senate done? This could be a very good day for the U.S.-Israel relationship. To my Democratic and Republican colleagues in the Senate, you have risen to the occasion. I want to thank the Majority Leader, Senator Reid, the Minority Leader, Senator McConnell, for bringing up Iron Dome funding. I want to thank all of my colleagues for allowing the funding to go forward. Senator Coburn was trying to find an offset. He's been consistent in trying to bring our fiscal house in order. He is a very principled man, but he understood the urgency of the matter in Israel, withdrew his objection last night. So to our friends in Israel, the Senate has acted in a unanimous fashion, bipartisan in nature, to appropriate $225 million to resupply the missiles that you need to defend yourself under the Iron Dome program. With a missile comes a message. The message is that we're with you. Take as long as you need, go where you need to go to deal with this terrorist threat called Hamas. To the Palestinian people, we're not your enemy. We hope one day that you will reject Hamas and try to find a peaceful solution to your problems with your Israeli neighbors. And we stand ready to help in that regard. The Palestinian Authority and Israel have a good working relationship when it comes to the West Bank. Hamas has been in charge of Gaza for several years now, and this cycle of violence repeats itself. You have a ceasefire, you'll have a lull in the violence. A year later, you'll fight Hamas again. They've fired over 15,000 rockets into Israel. In 2005, Israel withdrew from Gaza, giving land for peace. The land was given, peace has been unattainable. So the real root of the problem is Hamas. There is no moral equivalency here. Hamas is trying to kill every Israeli possible. They're firing missiles by the thousands indiscriminately into Israel. They could care less where they land. Thank God for the Iron Dome. Most heinous of all is they put their own people in harm's way as human shields. As Israel tries to tell people to withdraw from an area because it's coming under attack, Hamas says, ignore the leaflets, you go to that area. There's a video where a hospital was occupied by Hamas fighters. Israel gave 2 days' notice to evacuate the hospital. When the hospital was destroyed militarily because it became a command center for Hamas, secondary explosions went on for quite a while. There was also a ammo dump. So Hamas uses mosques, hospitals, apartment complexes. We found 2 instances of Hamas rockets being stored in UN schools. They're violating every known tenet of the law of war. They're using their own people as human shields in an unprecedented strategic manner. As to the United Nations, you're about to run afoul of the Congress here. The Human Rights Commission issued a resolution that had one sentence condemning the attacks on Israeli civilians, never mentioned the word Hamas, basically accused Israel of being a war criminal. It passed 27-1. We were the lone vote objecting to the resolution, which was so out of sync with reality, and several major nations abstained. The United Nations is becoming more anti-Israeli as I speak, Anti-Semitism is spreading throughout the world, but let it be said that the United States Senate, in a bipartisan fashion, will have no part of this. The United Nations is a force that could be used for the good, or it could be a force to make problems worse. I consider myself, as a Republican, an internationalist. I believe in foreign assistance. I believe in helping people. I believe in leading the world, not having the world run us over. Ronald Reagan is a great role model from my point of view. He said, "America makes history. That's our destiny. We shape history. We're not overrun by it." That doesn't mean we have to become the world's policeman or act as the Lone Ranger. It does mean we have to stay involved in the world. That's my point of view. But it's very hard to maintain that point of view when the United Nations, I believe, is being hijacked in such a fashion. And to the United Nations leadership, you're about to run afoul of a Congress who wants to be part of the body and who wants to shape the world for the better by your constant condemning of Israel in a disproportionate manner to what's going on the ground in Gaza. Beware of where you're taking this into the Human Rights Commission. You've become a joke in the eyes of Congress. The second thing that I hope we can do is pass a resolution that was authored by myself and Senator Menendez this morning. And if we can clear this, it's cleared on the Republican side. I think we're about there on the Democratic side. So what have we done? Tactically, the Senate has acted in a fashion to resupply missiles to the Iron Dome program that's literally under siege. Strategically, we have a strategic partnership agreement pending before the Senate that redefines our relationship, reaffirms, not redefines our relationship for years to come as a signal to Israel strategically, we will be your partner as far as the eye can see. So that is pending before the Senate, and I hope we can clear it today. Today of all days would be a great time for us to make decisions that reinforce the military capabilities of the Israelis to defend themselves, recommit ourselves to a strategic partnership. And the third thing we could do today is lend our moral voice as a nation by condemning the attack of Hamas against the Israeli Defense Forces today and the capturing of a soldier. This resolution clearly points out the ceasefire breach by Hamas, the pre-planned attack on the Israeli column during a ceasefire, the capturing of the soldier. We're condemning this activity as a breach of international law, and we're urging that Hamas return the IDF soldier. This resolution would give the moral voice of our nation and the Senate to the cause that Israel faces. So if we could, in a dysfunctional Congress, and we deserve a lot of criticism, both parties are to blame, but if we could end today speaking as one on something that's really important, the survival of our friends in Israel, not being anti-Palestinian, but being pro-Israel and pro-peace, and being anti-Hamas. I just wish and hope and pray that the Palestinian people will reject Hamas and turn a new direction, because in that direction you will find peace and you will find America as a partner. So let it be said that the United States Senate in most turbulent political times found its way when it came to supporting our friends in Israel by appropriating money to help their military who is under siege, by passing a strategic partnership agreement that reaffirms the relationship, and by lending our voice to what happened today in condemning in no uncertain terms the vicious attack and the breach of the ceasefire by Hamas. If we could do those three things today, it would be the right thing to do, it would send the right message at the right time, and it would solidify this relationship that's so important, because the enemies of Israel are our enemies also. Radical Islam has the same desire to kill us and destroy our way of life as they do Israel. And at the end of the day, we have to understand our fates are tied together. The second thing I'd like to talk about is my colleagues in the House are trying to find their way to pass legislation regarding the crisis on the border. They tried yesterday, they failed, they're back at it again. I want to thank Speaker Boehner from a Republican point of view for not leaving town until we have a solution in a Republican-controlled House. It's been hard to find. It's an emotional issue. It's a difficult issue on many levels. The human suffering of the children, everybody is moved by that as we should be, but we cannot incentivize these three countries in question to keep sending their children here, putting their children at risk, and overrunning our systems. That's just not the way to deal with your neighbor. So the House hopefully will pass legislation reforming the 2008 law that needs to be reformed to make children from Guatemala, El Salvador, and Nicaragua and that region of the country subject to the same laws as if you came from Mexico, and they're putting money aside to deal with the deportation problem and the humanitarian crisis. If they can pass a solution to this problem, I'm urging the Majority Leader of the Senate to bring us back in, because we shouldn't be gone for 5 weeks with something this important left unresolved. You may not agree with the House, but let's take up their proposal, amend it, vote on it, vote it up or vote it down, take the prior Democratic proposal, allow amendments to be had on both sides of the aisle, and see if we can find common ground on dealing with the border. The President at one time embraced changes in the 2008 law. That has to be done or we'll never solve the problem. I do not mind spending money in a humanitarian fashion as long as we're spending money to solve the problem, not perpetuate it. So if the House can find its way in authoring a solution to the border crisis, I'm urging my Democratic colleagues who control this body to act. Let's don't be gone for 5 weeks. Bring us all back and see if we can find a solution among ourselves in the Senate, talk to our colleagues in the House and solve the problem. It's within our power to do so. I know we can get there. I know there are at least 5 or 6 Democrats who understand throwing money at the problem without changing the 2008 law gets you nowhere. There's plenty of people on our side who understand that humanitarian crisis does exist. Let's marry up these forces and see if we can come up with a bipartisan compromise in the Senate. And the only way you can do that is to be allowed to offer amendments and debate. I can't think of a problem more dramatic facing the nation right now in terms of a crisis than what's happening on our border. 50,000 unaccompanied children, the spike in people coming from Central America after President Obama unilaterally gave amnesty to children already here, no matter how well-intentioned, has created the belief in that part of the world, if you make it to America, you can stay. We want you to understand there's a legal way to get to America. Just don't show up on the doorstep and ask to be taken in. That's not a way for any nation to have to deal with people wanting to come to their nation. So I hope that we will not be gone for 5 weeks with this problem unaddressed. If the House can get its act together and pass a solution to the problem, it would be incumbent, in my view, upon the Senate to reconvene, deal with the House proposal, come up with one of our own, and engage the House to solve this problem. 5 weeks is a very long time to be away from a problem this important. And as to the August break, contrary to what a lot of people may believe, we all don't go on vacation. We try to take some time for ourselves and our families, but it's a chance to go visit other parts of the world to get informed that could come here in terms of affecting our national security. If situations over there are going to come here if we don't deal with it responsibly. It's a chance to do things in your state. So people are very busy during August and try to capture some time for themselves. But at the end of the day, 5 weeks is way too long to be absent from Washington as the crisis on the border gets worse. If the House can find a solution to this problem, I'm urging the Democratic-controlled Senate to bring us back, take up their solution, vote it up, vote it down, bring back the Senate bill, allow it to be amended so we can find consensus. Consensus is there if we want to find it. With that, Mr. President, thank you for the opportunity to speak. I appreciate your voice on national security. You've been a very stalwart friend of Israel. You've been trying to find a way forward regarding the problems the Ukrainian people face. And I hope that we can find a solution to our border crisis. But final thought, as to Israel, today could be a very good day for the U.S.-Israel relationship. It started in the Senate. I hope my House colleagues will pass the Iron Dome legislation that we passed by unanimous consent today. The House needs to get this done so the President can sign this into law. So to my colleagues in the House, please take up Iron Dome. Let's get this right. With that, I yield.